Resort near Disney World in Florida collapses into a sinkhole. No one hurt. By the Orlando Sentinel, adapted by News ELA staff on 8/13/13. Orlando, Florida. First came the cracking sounds, then windows started blowing out, and before they knew it, guests felt the ground beneath their Lake County resort near Walt Disney World sink into the ground. The vacationers had only 10 to 15 minutes to escape the collapsing buildings at the Summer Bay Resort. A large sinkhole, about 60 feet in diameter and 15 feet deep, opened in the earth late Sunday, August 11th. The resort is located about 7 miles east of Walt Disney World. No one was injured. About 3 dozen resort goers left behind car keys, medication, and other personal belongings inside their luxury condominiums as the crumbling buildings were evacuated. My heart sunk. I was sick to my stomach, said resort president Paul Caldwell after getting a call about 10:30 p.m. from his staff that the 15-year-old buildings full of guests were sinking into the ground. Building buckles into ground. Sinkholes are common in land where the rock below the surface can be dissolved by water flowing through the land, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. That type of land is referred to as karst terrain and is found in about 20% of the country, the science group said. The states with the most damage from sinkholes tend to be Florida, Texas, Alabama, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Pennsylvania. After the windows began to shatter, a guest ran into the street to flag down resort workers, Caldwell said. Firefighters arriving on the scene immediately went door to door of the building, a 3-story structure, to help guests escape from the splintering and cracked building frame. The building was sheared nearly in half. About 20 men, women, and children left behind everything they brought to their vacation rental. The American Red Cross came to assist the displaced guests. Building 104 is connected to a center building that houses an elevator shaft, said Lake County Fire Chief Tony Queller. The building buckled into the ground minutes after firefighters got guests out through the center building, Queller said. All guests accounted for. An adjacent building was also evacuated and 16 people had to leave, Queller said. All guests had been accounted for and no one was injured. Caldwell said they were moved into other buildings on the property. The east side of the property lost power, but none of the other units were otherwise affected, he said. Firefighters are waiting for engineers to determine the damage the gaping hole caused. Sinkholes in Florida form as soft limestone below the surface dissolves and collapses with acidic rainwater that runs through the soil. Construction, groundwater pumping, and drought followed by heavy rain can speed up the erosion. The water dissolves limestone, causing sands to move through and form a hole on the surface. It looks like the sand is going through the neck of an hourglass. Sinkholes cost Florida residents millions of dollars in structural damage and insurance each year. Sinkhole swallowed a man in March. Experts in Lake County recently told the Orlando Sentinel the region could expect more collapsing earth. They said that companies that repair sinkholes are seeing an increase in complaints. Geologists say sinkholes have always been a part of life below the crust in the Sunshine State, but they do not agree if they are increasing in number. Sinkholes are notoriously frequent in the Tampa Bay area, where one man suffered a dramatic end in March. A 50-foot deep sinkhole swallowed 37-year-old Jeffrey Bush while he was sleeping inside his home. The home was condemned, and Bush was declared dead. Officials investigated a possible sinkhole at another Florida home in June after the homeowner's pool cracked and shifted in the ground. The hole, 40 to 50 feet wide and 30 to 40 feet deep, stabilized. That hole is only 1.5 miles from the 1981 Winter Park sinkhole. The infamous sinkhole swallowed a car dealership and home in its 320-foot wide and 90-foot deep opening. 3 years ago, sinkholes collapsed lanes of U.S. Highway 27 in eastern Polk County. And several years before that, a sinkhole that opened up on Scott Lake swallowed enough water to make the shoreline pull back dramatically in a fancy Lakeland area neighborhood.